who has taught me in the ways of the Lord, told me that if you are not married, you're not unfulfilled. He taught me that you stick to the Lord, you
Oh,
stick to what
is
the
your
Lord
father a
has.
okay? Okay. Due respect, your father is a pastor.
My father's not a pastor.
Okay, then I was raised in the church too. So if you want a Bible thump, I will go with you. I don't think you want to do that with me though.
I
Because
I
what your
understand.
father
I
is
under,
teaching, what your father is teaching you, does it line up with the God? Does it line up with the Bible?
Yes, it does.
Where does it say if you're not married or you don't have children, you're not? You're, tell me where it says any of these things in Scripture.
It says, "Or love the Lord with all your God and love people as you love yourself." That doesn't say anything about
Yeah, but that
being
does not
married.
say what your father
Or,
just said. What is Eve's first charge? Eve's purpose on the planet was what?
I know is to have kids, but that
No, 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 no.
but
I asked
putting
what was Eve's charge? Her charge was her existence was for one reason and one reason only. To be what?
okay to be a wife,
To
okay.
be a helpmeet. That means Eve without Adam had no purpose. And the first commandment we were given is to be fruitful and what?
Multiply,
Hello?
multiply.
So what your father's telling you is what he told his daughter, but that's not necessarily line up with the gospel. Now I'm not going to dispute what your father has told
I
you, but
that
that is not what the God
I
that is not what the Bible says.
let me put it this way. I've read the Transform Wife, and that didn't help me. That only brought me stress. That every time I had misunderstood people, that it just brought me stress and a lot of pain.
Well,
A
sounds like you
lot of
need therapy,
pain.
ma'am. I mean, because if
I don't need therapy. I don't need therapy.
sure you, I mean,
I don't need
if hold on, don't
you,
overtalk me. Don't overtalk me.
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna say, ma'am, you have a problem with what? The
I don't have a problem with anything.
well, if you read the Transform Life and it brought you stress, well, you have. Does it do that to everybody, or is that your response? That
But
was your response.
it brings a lot of women.
It was your response. It doesn't bring. See, you can't play that with me. It was you get to choose only one thing, ma'am. How you respond to things. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever want to be married?
I'm okay if I don't get married.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you, do you want to be married?
I do want to get married, but if I don't,
Do you
I'm
want
not
children?
going to have a
Do
fit
you
about
want
it.
children?
If I don't have children, it's not a promise.
Okay.
My
No, I
aunt
didn't
didn't have
ask you if
kids.
I see. I'm just asking. See, ma'am, I'm asking you just direct yes or no questions. Do you want to be married? And you're giving me
I'm
slippery.
okay if I don't.
Great. Then that works for you, ma'am. If you don't want to be married, you don't want kids, fine. Are you gonna? What do you do for a living?
I'm in school,
Now, what are you going to school for?
business, because
Business what?
business marketing.
And what do you plan on doing for a career? And you're 25.
I plan to work with the church and reach the homeless because
Okay, so
there's
how
a
do you
lot of.
plan on? Oh, listen, question. If you don't get married, fine. How do you plan on making enough money to live on as an adult and retire on and live for and live in retirement from 65 to 85 without needing the government assistance of any kind? Because one income is insufficient.
Because I just focus on the way. I can't be
Excuse me?
stressing
No,
every.
no, 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 no,
I
no.
can't be
So in
stressed.
other words, now it gets real. I don't
I know
care
it gets real.
so how do you plan on? So you can't be stressing on a long way. So in other words, you can't be bothered about it. So it's somebody else's responsibility to make sure you're not on the street and you got something to eat. Uh oh, time to
Okay.
grow up. It's
I
time to grow up,
but
little girl.
I'm
Time to
just
grow up, little girl. Time to grow
I
up, little girl.
can I talk can I speak, please? I'm
Sure.
focusing on this season. I
Yeah.
focus on this season
And
because if you focus on the next season,
And this
you're
is part of the
missing what
problem with
God.
modern women. Not finishing what they started and not planning for the future. It's always the next season. Ma'am, I asked you, How do you plan on getting one end of life to the other? If you're going to school for business marketing, working for the church,
I,
that's a middle class
I
income.
plan to start my own ministry.
That's still a middle class income. How do you plan on making enough money to retire on as a single woman without the benefit of two incomes and without the benefit of family or children to help you in your later years? I don't care what your plan for life is. You better make enough money to be a single female on this planet. And see, that's what my show shows you, that you ladies don't take life seriously and you expect it just to all work out. God ain't got nothing to do with this. Either you
I
make enough money or you're not going, or somebody's going to have to do what for you.
I respect that you take God out of life and out of
I don't take God out of life.
money,
Don't
but
play with
that
me.
should
Don't play with me that way. No, nope, no. I don't take God out of life. I've asked you questions that you just are not prepared to answer because you don't have an answer.
I do have an answer.
Then how do you plan on making enough money to retire on if you were doing business
I work
marketing
for a
for the church?
church. I work
Ma'am,
for a
that
church. I work
right,
for
right. And how much
organizations.
money will you and will you make in excess? Okay. And if you work for a church, ma'am, that'll be middle income money. That's one person. That's not enough to retire on. I've already on this channel. Give you an example. Let's say you at 25 years old, and I gave you a salary of $50,000 from age 25 to 65. Okay, and if that $50,000 you got a cost of living adjustment every year, and you made the $50,000 for 40 years, and you set aside $200 a month for savings, you would still at age 65, if you had a life expectancy to 85, you would still have an almost $750,000 shortfall. You'll need $2.9 million to live on from 65 to 85. That's just the nuts and bolts of being an adult. It is impossible to make enough money for one person to retire, to live and retire on today. So if you don't plan on getting married or having children, that's cool. You better make a lot of money to cover those expenses because there's not going to be enough money in the Social Security. There's not, and church ain't going to be able to help you. You're not going to have any kids. That's practical.
I'm not saying that I'm not gonna have kids, but I'm just if it doesn't happen, then like I work it out. I can't.
You
can't.
can't
I
work it out, ma'am.
understand that.
You'll work it out. Work it out. How? You cannot make money. You're not Jesus. You can't turn water into wine. You can't turn two fish and five loaves and feed the multitudes. That's not how we work. I'm from the Bible Belt. I'm from Church Central, and that's not how it works. See, this is my problem with overly religious people. You're so heavily minded. You know earthly good. You can't even think in the natural, in the physical, natural world because you're so busy talking about God, 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 and God never told us to be dumb. We have to live in this
I know.
world. And I'm asking you, how do you plan on getting to one end of life? That's something all people have to figure out, man, women included. And modern women who don't worry about being married, if I'm not married, I'm not married. See, there used to be a time where a woman like yourself would say, yeah, I'm going to get married because I know I can't survive this life by myself. But if you don't think
I
you need a man or anybody, fine, just make enough money to retire and live on. That's all I'm saying. But
I
you can't
I
just wait.
I do understand that marriage might be the top priority for everyone,
Not
but
the top priority.
we're not all. I understand, but that's my personal belief is that we're not all promised a spouse.
You said you're a
We're not
promised
all
spouse. I didn't say you're a promised spouse. My point is how you plan on getting through life. See, I keep asking questions about you, and you're going back to everybody else. You. How are you going to get through life when your dad is dead and you're making average money? How are you going to get through life?
it, I
Exactly.
just take 1 year. I take time.
Uh-huh.
I can't
Let me go
I
ahead and
can't be stressed
let me
about
go
the
ahead and give you
we can't
let me go ahead and give you your
I can't
fuel
be
ahead of
stressed
time. Mm-hmm.
I can't be stressed about the future.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no stress about the future, ma'am. you well, first off, your future
I
is,
messed up.
I'll make
I
you
get it.
famous.
That's
it's not messed up. It's just that you're sitting here and I'm asking you practical questions that shouldn't be stressful. You get stressed about this, stressed about that, fine, man. But the reality is, women are not islands. You're not intended, you weren't created to be islands. Women need more often than not somebody else to get through life.
but
I
nobody.
didn't make the world.
Why doesn't nobody say the same thing for men? That's my only question. We if men can't be
What
alone
state do
either,
you, well, I'll tell
we
you no,
need each
first off,
other.
hold on, answer. What state do you live in?
New Jersey,
New Jersey. I want you to go out into your local neighborhood and look at the homeless people. Are they male or female usually?
they're usually males.
That's why nobody says anything about men, because men end up on the street. You act like the men aren't told the same thing. Men understand that if we don't provide, we end up on the street because ain't nobody coming to save us. And the questions I'm saying are too much and it's too stressful. I can't think about this season because the world has coddled women to the point to where just thinking about normal, everyday adult stuff freaks you guys out. And this is a perfect example of how modern women are too soft for this world. So your
They're
dad,
not.
lady, you better figure it out because there's not going to be anybody coming to save you. And at 25, you're going to see something that your father didn't see. More and more women living on the streets, more and more women living in tent cities, more and more women because there are not enough shelters, there's not enough churches, there's not enough resources for a bunch of elderly, older people. The world is not set up for people to reach their later years unmarried, no children, because the burden of elder care has always fallen to the family. It's bankrupting Korea, it's bankrupting Japan, it's bankrupting other countries, and they're starting to realize that we're going to have to do something because, ma'am, it's just a matter of math.
But if I don't get married, then
Well,
I'm
if you
not.
don't get married,
I'm
you
gonna
should.
be okay.
If you don't, well, getting married is the least of the problems because getting married would mean somebody would have to choose you to be a wife.
I honest,
Just talk about
honest.
being married is really not the question at this point. Can you get through the end of life by yourself? If not, you're going to have to figure out how to partner or work with somebody because you don't make enough money. I didn't make the world, man. And see, all I'm telling you is something that your dad didn't tell you. Get out of the spiritual world and get to the into the world you're living in. Because you live in New Jersey. It is not cheap to live in Jersey.
I have a question for many of the ladies that
Dead woman walking.